Halloween is about here, and oh, forgot I had my mic on me. We have to realize that eating all the candy before the kids get here, that can be a bad thing. I got some Sour Patch Kids that have the watermelon and the Sour Patch Kids in it. I love those, and evidently my son loves them. He, we thought, oh, I had some of the watermelon ones. I was eating those, and he wanted to buy it. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be funny. He's going to eat it, and he's going to make a sour face and go on. He ate it, and he went, and he's like, good. And I was like, oh no. So he likes to eat some of those. And things like, we also got like Reese cups, like the Halloween shaped ones. And my wife's eating a few of those. And we're like, we better get another bag just in case. So yeah, it's always a dilemma. I mean, where I grew up, there were so many kids would come by. Or should I say, like there's like hundreds of kids that come by. And the reason why is because where I lived, you could literally go down the first lane, second, third, the fourth. Well, actually, you would go this way because you would go that way down the last lane, and then you'd walk the back street and get this part over here, and then you'd walk back this way, go to the church, which had people that would just give out candy there, and then you go up this lane up here, and because there's more house that way. And every single year, it was always like, you would go out, and even when you're too old, you'd go out with your friends. I never threw eggs. I never understood the big thing about that. But go out with your friends, hang out that night, and just walk around. And you would go, and you might not even be dressed up, but you'd go there, and everybody knew everybody in this neighborhood. So it's like, because it's a small town, and if somebody didn't know you, they'd be like, why are you out? And they'd be suspicious. But since everybody knew everybody, they'd be like, hey, here, here's some candy and everything. It was great. Oh, man. Thinking back, maybe that's why I loved Halloween so much, because where I lived, and I was able to get out and see so many people. And then as I got older, I didn't go out trick-or-treating or go out with my friends. We all got older, and we stopped doing that. Giving out the candy and seeing all the kids and people I had known my entire life. Now, like a lot, because I'm 38 and my son's 3. So I didn't have kids for a long time, and seeing my friends that had kids and seeing every year, because sometimes you don't keep up with everybody. And as they've gotten older, and they're coming by and you talk and you catch up, like, wow, this is your son, this is your daughter, oh wow, you have another little one on the way. And it was great. It was a way to really just catch up with people you hadn't seen in a long time. And then you would talk to people, and it was time also you found out bad news about people. Oh, this person got divorced, something happened to this person. And it honestly, that kind of shaped something the way I am today. If, like, even at work, okay, if somebody's office or somebody's desk is just cleaned out, for some reason, like I come in one day and nothing's there, it's like gone. I don't ask. I'm like, hey, what happened to blah blah blah? And the reason why is because things can happen. It's like, okay, the person's not there. Okay. And it's like if you go out and you see people that's like if you haven't seen somebody in a long time, and I see them out and I know they're married to somebody, I generally don't ask about specific people, because I have before, and it's been like, oh, we split up, blah blah blah. and I'll ask, what I'll do is I'll kind of ask generally, oh, how is everyone? And the other person will say, oh, I'm great, the husband's great, the wife is great, the kids are great, or something like that. Or if, and sometimes, because the reason why I do it that way is sometimes people don't want to talk about it. And it's like, oh, how is everyone? Oh, I'm doing great, blah, 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 blah. And then they might mention things like, oh, me and my significant other split up. It's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. And a lot of times they didn't want to, I mean, sometimes they want to talk about it, sometimes they don't. That I'll leave up to the other person. I just try not to bring up bad memories, if that's kind of, or sore spots. Because I mean, if you haven't seen somebody in 2 or 3 years, things change drastically. I mean, if I met somebody I went to school with, high school, junior high, grade school, I'm a completely different person. If I haven't seen them since then, I mean, I've got a family now, I've got a job, I've got a kid. You're not the same person that you were in college, high school, junior high. I mean, especially junior high and high school. You change a lot through college. And then once you get out of college, you have these ideas that, oh, this is how the world is. And then as you're working, you see how the world really is. And that changes you some more. So yeah, if you haven't seen somebody in a long time, or if I see somebody I haven't seen in a long time, I don't mention about specific things. But with Facebook and everything now, it's a lot easier to actually keep up with people. I know, oh, who was it? I'm trying to remember, somebody in my family was talking to me, and I was visiting, this is a while back, and they were like, hey, it's Halloween time and my dog is under me snorting and startling me. But, so say, okay, no, I'm actually jumping topics now. Halloween. But yeah, I will finish up the thought here. But about being so easy to keep up with people now. I think it's my cousin. I was back home, I was visiting, and one of her friends that I mean, small town, I'd known her my entire life. Somebody says, hey, blah, 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 and how are you doing? And I was like, doing good and everything. And I don't post anything on Facebook. And she was like, you don't do anything? He's like, don't you ever post anything on Facebook? How are people going to keep up with you? And I'm like, I don't post things on Facebook because I don't want people to know my business. And it's like, oh, and she started asking me about everybody and everything. But it was good to catch up. But but what she said is very true. I mean, there's just love noises outside, and you're like, ooh, what was that? But people can keep up with each other so much easier now. I mean, with Facebook, people put everything on it, and a lot more than I know I'd be comfortable with sharing. But anyway, that's the reason why I don't. Growing up in that environment and seeing, and a lot of times you meet people once a year again, there are conversations you don't want to have in the middle of a crowd of people, as people are, kids trying to come and get candy, and you're just casually catching up with somebody. So that's kind of evolved how I interact with people and how I talk to them and ask questions about things. I don't know. Halloween, it's always had a special place to me. I'm going to have to, I don't have any, I don't know where they're at, but I'd love to find pictures of me growing up and all the different costumes I had on. I don't know who would have them, but I'll find them. I'd love to do a video of the Halloweens of the past. and the different things I've dressed up as. I mean, I remember being a GoBot. I was a vampire. I wore a mask one year, had this big long hair on it. Just many, many, many different costumes. And I always had a lot of fun. Just going around getting the candy. I remember going around and... Sorry, the camera became full. The card on my camera became full. But, as I was saying, a lot of times you would see groups of people coming and you wouldn't know who they were because they'd have masks on or they have their face painted. Sometimes you'd know their parents, sometimes you wouldn't. But as they get closer, people would say hi to each other. And you'd be like, oh, David, Billy, hey, how are you guys doing? And you would sit there and you want to talk to your friends, but you wouldn't also because you wanted to get on and get candy. Oh man, I remember so many times seeing people out and like, hey, come with us. And I'm like, I've already been that way. I'm going that way. And they didn't want to turn around and go the way I was going either because they knew they wanted to go that way and get the candy from other houses. Because the people knew you, and if you tried to get to the same house twice, they wouldn't give you the candy again. So that's the problem with you try to get your friends together and go as a group, but some people tried to run, some people didn't. So yeah, it was. Oh yeah, and the candy and trick or treating always lasted longer than in my town than what they said it's going to. I mean, there'd be people going around at 9 o'clock still yet trying to get candy. But it's always good. But anyways, I want to get off here. I've talked a lot. Talked about candy. Gonna make myself hungry. Want to eat some. Candy cigarettes. Those are always my favorite. I love those things. Now I'm going to find a place that sells them and order some. But hope you had a good day. Talk to you tomorrow.